American way of life is under attack. The truth is under attack. But don't worry, because we will be here to stand up for America and the truth. Now, all kinds of weirdness surviving the Florida shooting. The newest development that has people scratching their heads is why was a police officer on the scene that didn't go into the building? Here's John Bound with that report.
The horrible tragedy leaving 17 dead in Parkland, Florida, twisted by the left to take yet another cheap shot at our Second Amendment rights is underway.
I think what you're asking about is the assault weapons ban.
Yes, sir.
So let me be honest with you about that one. If I believed that that law would have prevented this from happening, I would support it. But I want to explain to you why it would not.
Senator Rubio, my daughter, running down the hallway at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, was shot in the back with an assault weapon, the weapon of choice.
Yes, sir.
Okay? It is too easy to get. It is a weapon of war. The fact that you can't stand with everybody in this building and say that, I'm sorry.
Sir, I do believe what you're saying is true.
All of you puppet politicians that they are backing. Was the blood of my classmates and my teachers worth your blood money?
Senator Nelson, you don't have to answer that question. Let's move on to the next question.
Excuse me? I'm a student. I should have.
I know, I understand that, but your question, I thought you were going to ask Senator Nelson a question. Your question sounds like you wanted to ask Dana Lash a question in the next segment, and I'm happy to do that if you want.
I expected to be able to ask my questions and give my opinion on my questions.
But Colton Hobb, a member of the junior ROTC who shielded classmates in the midst of terror, says he did not get to share his experience.
And CNN's History of Plants, intended to lateral the political football down the field, reads like a criminal rap sheet. Solutions to the school shooting dilemma are numerous yet complicated. Armed guards, armed teachers, airport-style security.
Our banks, our airports, our NBA games, our NFL games, our office buildings, our movie stars, our politicians. They're all more protected than our children at school. Does that make any sense to anybody? Local law enforcement, moms and dads, they all must come together to implement the very best strategy to harden their schools, including effective, trained, armed security that will absolutely protect every innocent child in this country.
My name is Ariana Klein. I would just like to say thank you for leading this country. You're a great leader, and I appreciate the direction that the country is going in. I'm a junior. I attended Stoneman Douglas, and I just want to say that everybody right now is so stuck on what they believe that they're not even listening to what other people believe. We need to listen to the other points of views. We all need to realize that we all have different points of views, and that we need, this solution is not going to be a singular thing. It's going to be multifaceted, and it's going to be created by a collection of different people working together.
But even the deputy responding to the massacre, who should have been a hero, failed miserably.
Scott Peterson was absolutely on campus through this entire event. As is his right, Scott Peterson chose to resign because he has the necessary time with the agency and meets the requirements of retirement. He resigned and /retired. We're not going to disclose the video at this time, but what I saw was a deputy arrive at the west side of Building 12, take up a position, and he never went in.
Video evidence suggested that Peterson remained outside for 4 minutes.
All right, that's the John Bound report. We'll be right back with the War Room. Doug Hagman on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Standing on a razor's edge wavering. Are we going to fall off this cliff? Are we going to fall off this cliff? Somehow maintaining our balance as we are living through, honestly, times that in history we probably can't even relate to, with all the technology, with all the violence, with all of the vast shadow government, all of the global corporations, the central banks. I mean, there's never been a time of centralized power with such control, while at the same time, there's an entirely different movement going on to try to break away from the centralization, which is the natural human destiny, which is where we're meant to go. But the centralized power structure has so much gravity, it maintains with its propaganda and its media and everything else to draw in the weak-minded to stay in the power structure, stay in the centralization, hand in your guns, silence the opposition, while everyone's just trying to break free. And here we are on the razor's edge. My guest joining me here in the first segment is Doug Hagman. Now, Doug is doing a great job keeping up with a lot of the investigations that are going on behind the scenes. He is keeping up with some of the stuff that's being investigated and some of the pedogate stuff that he's broken before. But Doug, you know, I want to get your thoughts on this. I feel like right now we're on this razor's edge, and humanity is either going to fall one way, that's totally centralized power, eventually the AI takes over, or it's going to fall the other way, and we use all this technology, all this human spirit and everything that we have to expand civilization to the stars, to expand the human understanding, expand the human mind. And every day is a battle between these two, you know, competing power structures, these two competing forces. I mean, I don't know. I honestly, it's like the same thing today. I got stacks of news here. 70% of people in America won't even read one of these stories. They won't even care. So how do we reach those people? How do we get to those people to say, look, we are on a razor's edge right now. Every step you take, you could falter and go one or two ways. Which way do you want to go? Where do you think we are right now, Doug?
Well, Owen, thanks for having me, by the way. And you make some great points there. Look, these times are unprecedented, I believe, in which we live. And we are being forced. I think what we're seeing right now, just to collect my thoughts, I'm looking at stacks upon stacks, as you are, of news stories, of information that the truth of really what's going on behind the headlines, the truth that certainly the social media platforms and the Mockingbird media networks, CNN and such, they don't want to have out. We just having spoken with Milo and Alex, looking at this and looking at the censorship that we are that's being forced upon us. So we stand, I think, as you said, at the precipice. We go one way or another. And I don't think there's any in-between ground here. I think we've reached a point right now where we either decide that we can no longer play by the rules, their rules, and we have to step out of our comfort zone. But, you know, conservatives, I think, or those people on the side of the Constitution and the people on the right, I think that we have been too tolerant for too long of too many things that are actually taking our rights away. So now I think we have a choice. We either have to say no more, and physically or actively, I should say, actively go out and say, you know what, you're not going to shut me up. I'm not going to stop talking. You're not going to keep me from talking about the truth. And in fact, as I said before, and I quote a good friend, Coach Dave Daubenmire, who often says the truth becomes hate speech to those who hate the truth. And we're seeing that manifest right now. So all that said, I think that we have to become less tolerant with the laws and the rules foisted upon us. And we have to say, okay, enough. We are going to fight. We're going to fight for the freedoms. We're going to fight for the Constitution. We're going to fight for our way of life. And if we don't, we've got no one to blame except ourselves. So we have to move from our comfort zone, in my view, and rally together. We have to, every independent platform, every voice out there, anyone with a YouTube channel or a social media account, rally behind Infowars, rally behind us, rally together, because we can act as force multipliers if we do. Otherwise, we die alone and in the corner and in a fetal position, and we can't have that. That's just my 2 cents. That's
no, I think that's yeah, and I think that's a good point too, where it's kind of like we become amplifiers of each other, and then you just drown out all the noise behind the scenes. You drown out all the hate behind the scenes, and you talk about tolerance, and you made me think of something. The way that the political left has responded to President Trump in America, you know, like you said, I mean, we've been tolerant. That's how we should have responded to Obama. I mean, honestly, if we were as intolerant as the left, if we were as foaming at the mouth politically as the left, we would have been on the streets. We would have been marching. We would have been doing the same thing, but we're not. We're just like, hey, we want to live our lives. We're independent, sovereign citizens. Just stay out of my way. Get the government out of my life and whatever. I'm not going to protest on the street. But that really shows their intolerance. After 8 years of having their president, they can't give power over to someone who thinks differently. They can't give up power to someone who might have a disagreeing opinion on an issue. That really shows their intolerance. And I think that you're right. There is no middle ground. We're on the razor's edge, and you either fall one way or the other way. There is no middle ground. I agree with you on that. So, but as we stare into the abyss of the news every day, you got the Florida shooting. You've got the new Mueller indictments, which is more nothingness. The American economy is still continuing to surge. Jobless rates down. And then there's all kinds of insanity. I mean, what is the big story, though, right now? Where do we focus our attention to try to waken the masses to say, hey, look, this is an issue that affects everybody. Let's get on the same page.
You know, that's a great question. And in my view, I think what we're seeing take place behind the scenes with the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the Devin Nunes, the Goodlatte, all of the committees that are investigating and exposing what has gone on for the last 8 years, and more specifically, the activities against Donald Trump, the people who attempted to keep him out of office and who are now attempting to take him out of office, the exposure of that, I think that's the big story. I think that people, if everyone realized that for all of the talk of the Russian collusion, the indictments, by the way, the most recent indictments against Manafort, against Gates, and the 13 previous, the 13 Russians and the 3 Russian entities, not one time, and people should understand this, there has been not one mention of any violation of 52 USC 10-321, I believe it is. I could have the numbers mixed up there, but the bottom line is, there is not one charge of election tampering in those indictments. Those are the charges that have been laid against the 13 Russians, the 3 Russian entities, and now the Manafort and Gates of late, all deal with crimes that are financial crimes, fraud crimes, and really self-enrichment. The very thing, if you will, what Hillary and others have been doing for self-enrichment purposes for a long time. But that aside, I think we have to look at this. The real news here is the war did not stop with the election of Donald Trump. We are continuing to fight that war to keep him keep him in office. We are continuing a fight against the subversion of our government, against the subversion of our Constitution. And what we're seeing right now, I believe this to be the case, what we're seeing right now is this whiplash, not a white lash, as Van Jones once said, but a whiplash of a lawless president, a lawless, really a hijacker of the Oval Office, and his minions, his regime, his group of Alinskyites. We've turned from that into now turning into a nation of laws. And that whiplash, that the effect that's had, we are seeing that manifest in the censoring of the news, censoring of the social media. And this is what we're seeing today, I believe. So we have to fight accordingly and respond accordingly to that.
I think that's a good analogy. Imagine the United States or the White House or whatever it is being driven by Obama, a Corvette going 220 miles per hour of illegal activity, and then Trump gets in the seat and he slams on the brakes. And it's like, that's the political whiplash we're dealing with. We're going to stick Doug Hagman on with us for more, and we're going to talk more about the news that no one's talking about. So Mueller has just, well, yesterday he released his latest indictments, and if you read through them, again, they have nothing to do with Russian collusion. They have nothing to do with Russian meddling in the election. They have nothing to do with Donald Trump. It's amazing. They call this a Russian probe. It turns out this looks like more of a Manafort and Gates probe. Why is Mueller looking into the financial history back to 2005 of Paul Manafort and Gates. Why? Well, he had to do something. I mean, he's getting paid millions of dollars for this Russian probe. He's got nothing, so he had to release something. But as all of this news is going on, it's all being dominated by the Florida shooting. However, the Democrat memo might bring this back to the Republican memo, which I agree with Doug Hagman when he said last segment that that is still the biggest news, because we've got evidence, in my opinion, of high treason with the DOJ, the FBI, and yes, the Obama White House allowing a presidential candidate to purchase a FISA warrant. I mean, that's essentially what happened, and it's all laid out for us. But Doug, it's kind of, been put on the back burner in the chaotic news cycle, and it's such a tight cycle nowadays that the biggest stories end up lasting for a day or two before the next big story comes along. But, this Democrat memo, interestingly enough, may actually hurt the Democrats more than help them, because I think it could bring the Republican memo back into the mainstream news cycle. What do you think?
I totally agree with you on that. And the other half of this is we have to watch what the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence is doing, what Devin Nunes is doing. And we have to go back to what he said. Phase one was kind of a somewhat of a colonoscopy of the FBI and DOJ. And of course, from that, we saw that 3.5-page memo that came out. And of course, that implicated members of the FBI and DOJ under Obama. And really what that did as well was also deny Obama himself of any plausible deniability. Now, what we're seeing now is kind of the phase two part of this. And that's the inspection of the Department of State under Hillary Clinton, under John Kerry as well. And we're finding now, just from everything that we're seeing, and I really think that people should really focus and keep their attention on this. We're finding that Hillary Clinton and John Kerry both were agents of the surveillance apparatus. They did purchase surveillance. I suppose that's the easiest way to say this. Purchase surveillance of the political opponents, and that lasted well beyond Hillary's tenure as Secretary of State, well into John Kerry's. And people should pay attention to the recent request. I believe that was a letter dated February 20th from Devin Nunes to at least 20 members of the Department of State, both current and former members, as well as the intelligence community, demanding answers to their knowledge pertaining to the Steele dossier and the creation thereof. And by the way, it's not the Steele dossier; that's the Clinton Steele dossier, or the Clinton dossier, to be
Which, by the way,
so,
they got the intelligence from Russian sources. I mean, you want to talk about Russian meddling? That's literally from Russians.
They did. So in the grand scheme of things, and we're also seeing the run-up as we are today. We're seeing the run-up to the Office of the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz's report that'll come out in mid-March. It's expected at that time. And people might be wondering, well, why now? Why all of a sudden? Why are these people able to, or why are they actually pushing the reports out? Because the restraint has been lifted, the restraint against Horowitz, against the inspectors general, plural, the restraint against the legislative bodies. Notice McCain is not out. In fact, McCain and associates are part of the probe or subject of the probe. So the bottom line is this: everything that needs to be exposed, in my view, is coming to the forefront. The dirtiness of Obama, of Clinton, and of all of their associates now is coming out as shown by the Nunes memo, by the three primary committees that are investigating this. So the bottom line is that they've got to shut down the avenues of information, because once the American people fully understand that we've been gamed, that surveillance. And by the way, surveillance, the Title I surveillance on Carter Page, I could tell you this with great authority, that extended not just the Carter Page and to the candidate, Donald Trump as candidate and private citizen, but that extended to journalists. And by the way, that extended to Infowars, and that extended to us, and that extended members of Fox. So the surveillance, and people might be surprised to hear that, but the surveillance was against everyone that was attempting to tell the truth. And that's something that will come out and needs to come out and needs to be shouted, from the hilltops.
Doug, I just thought of something that I can't believe I never thought of until just now. This almost makes less sense than anything else. So the Russian dossier, paid for by Hillary Clinton through Fusion GPS, she uses it as a conduit, which was essentially, I mean, we don't really know how Steele came to put this information down on paper or whatever have you. Was it because the Russians told him to say that? Was he having conversations with them? Did he fabricate it himself? So there's still kind of that missing gray area. But then you actually remember, okay, so this is what was used to spy on Carter Page. I mean, that was the basis to spy on Page, which was then the basis to get in and pretty much go over everything that you just went through. Am I missing something here? But why did they decide to spy on Carter Page? He was not mentioned in the dossier to my knowledge. They haven't done anything to probe into Carter Page yet. They've gotten Mueller and Gates and Flynn and Papadopoulos. Where does Carter Page fit into all this? Where is this piece of the puzzle?
And that's a great question. Carter Page was the weakest link. He was the minor player in this, but they used Carter Page, and people have to pay attention to what kind of surveillance was conducted. This is Title I surveillance. This is a surveillance where they count the hops. In other words, this is a 3-hop surveillance warrant. In other words, if I talk to you, if I'm Carter Page and I talk to you, that's 1 hop. You talk to Alex, that's 2 hops. Alex talks to Milo, that's 3 hops, for example. All of those people within that playing field, that arena, are now subject to the very same surveillance as Carter Page. That's why Carter Page. And that's why many in the, and this is chilling, that's why many in the journalist world, from Fox News to Infowars to us, to people like us, that's why we have been under surveillance. And Carter Page was the weakest link. So they had to do it this way. And not only did they do it before or during the Donald Trump campaign, it continued after, well after Donald Trump was in office. And they knew everything about us. So this is why it's so extremely important to realize. And oh, by the way, that Steele dossier, that Clinton Steele dossier, the number 4 at the DOJ, Bruce Orr, on the 7th floor up there, Bruce Orr, what his wife, Nellie Orr, the wife of Bruce Orr, was, I would assert, was one of the architects of that dossier. And Nellie Orr, of course, what did she do her thesis on? 418 some pages, I think it was, 418 pages a number of years ago. Pretty much the Russian, it was a pro-Stalinist paper. So what we have, look, we've got these active
All right, that's Doug Hagman from the Hagman Report. We're going to keep him around for one more segment. He's going to finish those thoughts. Don't go anywhere. Doug Hagman with me here for another segment. He was just getting into some details about why Carter Page was the one that was spied on, and I wanted him to finish that thought. You can go ahead and hand me that news story. Thank you. And Doug, it seems like there's another ripple here that I was thinking about while you were speaking. So either Carter Page is some sort of an asset of the deep state that some people have alluded to and alleged. I'm not saying that's true or false. That's just out there. Or they had to have some sort of previous information, or they had to have some, I mean, essentially, I would say they had to do some sort of prior surveillance on Page to know that he was the weakest link. Is that analysis correct by your measurement?
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. I think that the knowledge going into the surveillance process was key to the surveillance process itself. So what you're saying there, I do believe that to be the case, yes. And to kind of just jump ahead just a tad, because the revelations about Carter Page, the revelations about the Trump team, the campaign, as well as the transition team, to put all of this kind of in perspective, just to tell people that this was an opposition hit piece, a political opposition hit piece, where Hillary Rodham Clinton bought influence at the Department of Justice. But to tie this, to tell your audience where this is going next, and I think this is going to come out, you had, of course, Christopher Steele. Speaking of Carter Page, you had Christopher Steele passing information along to the Department of State. You had the Department of State giving information to the FBI. You had the FBI then, in turn, getting a FISA warrant against Carter Page. The backdrop of all of this is the Clinton as well as the Kerry Department of State knowing information about the various players in the Foggy Bottom arena, including but not limited to Steele, as well as Page and others, inserting people into the campaign, inserting people at the periphery of the campaign in order to justify their surveillance. In other words, the surveillance is basically already there. They just had to justify it, and they had to make it legal, so to speak. It was already ongoing. Don't forget, ever since 2005, the NSA collects everything, and Admiral Rogers had basically exposed this to Donald Trump on the 16th of November, 2016. The day following that, of course, Donald Trump moved his office to the golf course in New Jersey. But having said all that, they had to legalize the surveillance of the individuals, and that they had to use somebody
so that they could use it.
To do it. Right, that's right.
Right.
Kind of the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. And then at the same time, we see all the 302s, the FBI 302s, the summary, the report summaries of the FBI being changed by Andrew McCabe, who's now, awaiting a $1.8 million benefit package. But that's okay. So all of this is just to say what we're seeing right today. They don't want all this to come out, and they're censoring, of course, the platforms that are pushing this out. And we see the Twitter censorship and social networking feed. So all of this
see, everything you just said is why I opened the show like I did today. This is why we're on the razor's edge. The deep state knows, half the population, or maybe less. We get it. Doug gets it. I get it. Most of the audience gets it. Obama's administration was committing crimes across the board. I mean, Fast and Furious, Benghazi, spying on Trump, the list goes on and on and on. So it's all about to get exposed. And whether or not the population wants to understand it or look into it or believe it or not is irrelevant, because what you're going to have is, like you said, you're going to have people inside the government now that have the reins off them. You have a president that's going to want to do something about this. And depending on what happens in the midterms, you could have a total mandate against these people should you sweep up the House and the Senate, like I would expect to. But that'll be interesting. But two things real quick, and then we're going to let you go. One, what do you expect to come from Horowitz when that comes out in March? And then two, is there any issue of a statute of limitations on what went on in the State Department?
Well, to answer the first question, I expect just a scathing indictment of the FBI and Department of Justice, including but not limited to the players that we know about. So
like a GOP memo 2.0 kind of?
Yeah, perhaps even more comprehensive or more specific, more laser-like, because the OIG, that's the internal affairs, we'll say, of the various departments. So I suspect that's going to be really a confirmation of what the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence already has reported and will report yet. And with respect to the second question, I think, or the second point, I think that I'm not sure. I can't remember which of the second part of that was.
A statute of limitations on this activity.
Yeah,
specifically in the State Department.
Yeah, that's been brought up. Of course, Hillary Clinton left the State Department in 2013. That's been brought up. Of course, there are things that are going to be beyond statute. However, that's not going to be beyond legacy. That's not going to be beyond truth. The statute is for legal purposes. Certainly, much of it is gone. But when the truth comes out, that's still a legacy that will be changed. And that perhaps will be even more problematic to live down than a crime. But I'm certain, based on everything I know, that I'm certain that the crimes committed are well, I'll say this, certain crimes, in particular felonies, the clock starts ticking when you discover them, as opposed to when they were committed. So if a crime was discovered in 2015, in certain cases in felonies, if a crime was committed in 2013 but not discovered until 2017, the clock starts ticking in 2017. So there's some issue there, some possibilities there, if you get my meaning.
Yep, I totally get it. Good stuff as usual, great intel. And I'll just say for the audience out there, when Doug Hagman has his nose to a story like this and he tells you what's coming up next, he usually has the sights set on what's about to approach around the corner. Doug Hagman, HagmanReport.com. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
There goes Doug. Wow, he's so good at just nailing these things down and hammering the points home that need to be brought out there. Like the Horowitz document that's going to come out. I mean, and I would expect everything he said is going to be true about it, folks. Again, if you follow Doug Hagman, you know he's not going to make a statement like that unless he really has some intel and information that's going to bring the truth to light on the Hagman report. So he signs off, and when we come back, I've got all these stacks of news to cover. Who knows if I'll get to all of it, but I do have a bunch of clips that I definitely want to commit to getting to, and a story that just came across my desk. Duterte over there in the Philippines, that guy is on one. I mean, that guy is on one. I'm not saying I'd want him to be our president, but man, you want to talk about cleaning things up. Wait till you hear what he has said in the next segment. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support Infowars, Infowarsstore.com is how you do that. And in case you haven't noticed now, Infowars is live 10 hours a day. It's pretty incredible how far Infowars has come, and it's even more incredible that it's because of you, the audience out there, supporting us. So, of course, you know by now, 50% off Super Blue products. That's the mouthwash, that's the toothpaste. That's a limited time offer while supplies last. 50% off Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. Don't forget about 25% off Brain Force Plus, one of our top-selling products. 4.8 star review, over 5,000 reviews on that one. 25% off. Some days I get down and I sit in the chair, and there's no way I could even do a show if it wasn't for Brain Force Plus. So take advantage of the 25% off Brain Force Plus special. And, you know, I don't know if there's a special on the one of the newest products in InfoWarsStore.com, but that's Bodies. This is just an incredible product, folks. And let me tell you something. If you're somebody that deals with joint pain or stiffness or soreness or anything like that, and you've been told, hey, try turmeric for that inflammation or try turmeric for that body soreness, whatever it is. Well, this is a turmeric supplement, and it's probably the best on the market. I mean, you can see the comparisons. We've done some of the comparisons online. You can look at the comparisons and the difference of just the powder that goes in, the turmeric that goes into the pill, and you will see the difference. So Bodies, very, very good product right now at InfoWarsStore.com. One of our newest products that I seriously suggest. As a user of Infowars products, this is one that you are seriously going to have your socks knocked off. Just like most of them. There's the comparisons right there. All right, we're going to be back right after this break with more of the War Room clips and news on the other side. Don't go anywhere. War Room here. Boy, I'll tell you, Twilight Zone news every day. What was the Twilight Zone news yesterday? Well, you had a guy ram his car into a hospital entrance and then set himself on fire. Okay. How about this, though? Well, you know what? Let me get to that in a second. So yesterday, a man rams his car into a hospital entrance and then sets himself on fire. Okay, that seems normal. Today, a woman rams her car into the White House security barrier. Okay, so that's going on. You had a student in Jackson Middle School, a 13-year-old, a 7th grade student who killed himself, shot himself inside the middle school bathroom. I mean, that is just awful. Then you had a 17-year-old high school student here locally in Texas at Atkins High School, threatened the school, basically a school shooting threat, and they found out no weapons or explosives. I don't think they found explosives, but they did find a backpack full of ammunition. So you've got all this going on in the Twilight Zone here today. Oh, you know, also, famed playwright David Mamet is about to write a play about Harvey Weinstein. That's nice. You know, Mike Pence has to give a speech reminding people that North Korea is bad. Well, you know, that's because CNN was praising North Korea. They love them so much. It's a communist news network. But this, the president of Philippines is on one, okay? Let me just tell you that Rodrigo Duterte is on one. And he's now said, kill a communist, receive 340 pounds. Rodrigo Duterte has offered a 350-pound bounty for each communist rebel killed by government forces. Duterte also said the communists are easier to hit than birds because they have bigger heads. In his latest crass remarks, which the government issued to reporters yesterday, came after human rights groups condemned him this week for saying troops should shoot female communist guerrillas in the genitals to render them useless. Mr. Duterte also said in a speech to troops at an air base in central Cebu City, referring to the new People's Army guerrillas, You kill an NPA today, and I'll pay you 25,000 pesos. Kill a communist and get paid in Philippines. Interesting. Interesting call there by President Duterte, who's pretty much just waged war on everything he thinks is destroying the Philippines, whether it be ISIS, drugs, and now communism. He's pretty much fighting it head on. So again, are we in the Twilight Zone? Now, he's saying that he's doing this because he thinks if this war goes on, he's actually going to end up saving lives by just ending the communists before they kill everyone else. So that's just what's going on there. All right, all kinds of news here, but I want to get to some of these video clips. Let's go here. Let's start with clip 3 here, guys, because this is ironic. This is what they do when we put a talking point out there that actually makes sense. They then use that talking point to try to prove their point, except it doesn't make sense. Clip 3, they're saying that to the NRA, money is more valuable than children.
Also, when he's talking about how the NRA, it's not their fault, it truly is, because they are the ones that are bringing the donations to our legislators, who are persuading their minds, because obviously money is more valuable to them than children and the youth and citizens of the United States' lives.
Last time I checked, it was the NRA, or I'm sorry, it wasn't the NRA that decided where armed security goes. Is it the NRA that calls up local government and says, yes, will you please put an armed security guard outside of the local bank, please? No, that's not the NRA. That never was the NRA. It never will be the NRA. So again, we put out the talking point that's like, we have armed guards in the Department of Education. We have armed guards in banks. We have armed guards at ball games, armed guards at the airport, armed guards everywhere. No armed guards in school. So we say, by that logic, you're saying that protecting these things is more important than protecting the children in school. And then they take the talking point and twist it and say, because we protect banks with armed guards, that's the NRA's fault, and they put money ahead of children. I mean, think about how twisted that logic is. But here's the thing. That's a high school student speaking. It's a high school student, young mind, not his fault. He's being brainwashed. And the very leaders and the thought leaders of the left are the ones feeding them these lines, the ones feeding them this propaganda, the one feeding them these lies. I mean, imagine living in a world where you actually think that because there's an armed guard at a bank or a jewelry store, the NRA thinks that money and jewelry is more valuable to children. The NRA doesn't even belong in that conversation. But they inject the NRA in there because that's what they've been trained to do. That's what their brainwashing has tricked them to do. Everything's the NRA's fault. If there's a gun sitting on the street, it's the NRA's fault. If there's a shooting range and people are going there to shoot weapons, that's the NRA's fault. Everything is the NRA's fault, even though the NRA is, honestly, you want to know why the NRA has power? It's not because of their political contributions. It's because of how many people are in it. The NRA isn't about money. It's about political influence because of how many members they have, how long it's been around. But they don't get that. They think it's just the NRA is some rich, fat cat, white-run organization that just pays off all these politicians to keep the Second Amendment in place. No, the NRA is politically powerful because it has millions and millions of members across this nation and has been around for decades and decades. So you're being misled. These young students are being misled when they're like, oh, it's the NRA's fault. They're buying politicians. They're paying politicians to do this. No, politicians listen to the NRA because the NRA has political power at the voting booth. But they don't get it. They don't understand that there's actually people out there that think differently about guns. They won't listen. And there's a reason for that. Because they will not let you have an opinion on CNN if you have a different thought on the Second Amendment than they do. Let's go to clip 15. CNN said that they were not scripting questions. However, they were. This is Colton Hab on Tucker Carlson last night talking about CNN censoring him.
So what had happened was 4 days ago, I had gotten contacted by a lady named Carrie Stevenson from CNN. She had asked me originally to just write a speech. It was going to be at the town hall at the BB&T Center, so I agreed. I felt like it would be the right thing to do, be able to go speak my part, as well as open eyes to a few things that I thought that could make this situation a little better. From there, 3 days ago, so the next day after that, we had gotten, I got an email back from her, and she asked for more of questions rather than a speech, which I was totally fine with. So I wrote a little less of a speech and more of questions that I wanted to ask at the town hall. The day after that, it was more censoring questions. She asked for just questions that I would like to ask.
CNN censoring.
I gave her my questions, and then yesterday at about 5:15, I made contact with her, and she had asked if I just asked her one question. So what they had actually done was wrote out a question for me, because in my interview with CNN, I talked about arming.
Hey, you're coming on CNN. We told you to write our questions, but we're going to have the questions ready for you.
And they had, she had taken that of what I had briefed on and actually wrote that question out for me. So I have that question here if you'd like me to ask it for you.
Well, but I just want to make sure I have this straight. So you sent them a long, in effect, essay on what you thought, but they put their own words in the question, and they weren't the same as the words you had sent in. They were the producer's words?
Absolutely. They had taken what I had wrote and what I had briefed on and talked about, and they actually wrote the question for me.
And it's like, see, CNN thinks that CNN thinks he's so weak-minded that CNN's going to play. You can pull it down. We got to go to break here anyway. This is the saddest part about it is, but I'm telling you, this is such a tactic of the left. As soon as you can understand everything you want to know about the left by what they do and say and think about others. So the left, this is how weak-minded the left is, honestly, where they get this essay or whatever from Colton and they read it and they're like, no, this doesn't fit our agenda. We got to put something else in there. So here's what they say. They say, well, let's just send him this question. He'll just go along with it because he's young and impressionable and we're in charge and we're CNN and we're more important than anything and he just wants to be on CNN. So we'll just give him a question and he'll say yes, of course, and go along with it. Oops. No, he didn't, did he? He's a strong-minded individual and he has principles and he told you to get lost, CNN. Nice try, Communist News Network. You got outsmarted by a high schooler. You know, I continue to get people sending me just insane information, literally the most ridiculous stuff about this Florida shooting. And it's like, I don't even want to go with it, man. It's like, you know, how controlled, how contrived, how disgusting does it really have to get before you just say, you know what, you're sick people, and I don't even want to cover it anymore. And it's pretty much where we're at, but we have to cover it now. Colton Hab is not the only one calling out CNN for its censorship at the town hall, but you also had a father slamming CNN for its censorship at the town hall. Here is the father of Ariana Klein, Andrew Klein, speaking to Fox News.
Yes. Well, I think the whole point of the town hall meeting was to hear the kids and hear what we had to say. And for that to happen... No, it wasn't. It was to get CNN's Hold on, pause it right there. See, this is the key. This is what people need to understand. Because she's a young high schooler. She's assuming the world is as we see it. That is the typical mistake that you make until you take the red pill, folks. That was the mistake I made in college. That was the mistake. That's what the liberal indoctrination relies on, is that you will accept the world is as you see it. So she says, hey, we're having this town hall. You know, I'm expecting this to be a chance for the students to voice their opinions, right? I mean, we were the victims. It was our school. This should be about us. Wrong. It's all about CNN. It's all about the Democrats, and it's all about their agenda to banish guns and to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's what this is about. That is the key to understand here. CNN and the Democrats don't give a lick about students dying in a high school. They couldn't care less. If they really cared, they would say, let's put armed guards in front of the school tomorrow. You notice how they don't call for that. Even if you want to pass some anti-gun legislation, it's still going to take weeks or months or years to even get that passed. Notice how they do nothing immediately. They push their agenda. It always goes back to the agenda. That's the key. Even if you disagree politically with people,
until you understand that the world as you see it is not as it is, it's contorted, it's twisted. It's just like the movie They Live, where you have to put the glasses on. Put these glasses on or start chewing concrete. Put these glasses on or you're going to eat that trash can. That's what people need to understand. And I guess, you know, the more that they expose themselves on the left, the more people are going to get this. Let's go back to Ariana Klein.
Be heard, and he should have been able to ask any question he had to ask. But instead, we have these networks that don't want us to give our real opinions, and they want us to further their own agendas.
Guess who just
Andrew,
put the glasses on?
Most of the students, Andrew, had the same.
This is where these students, now they have the glasses on, they're like, wow, CNN is total trash. They don't want to hear from me. I'm the victim. CNN comes into my school, exploits this crisis, exploits this tragedy for their own ratings and their own agenda. That's what communists do every time.
Diversity of opinion among either the students or anyone else that I saw, even in the audience.
And Laura, that's not surprising at all. I actually spoke to a CNN producer on Thursday, the day after the shooting, and the producer insinuated to me they were looking for people who were willing to espouse a certain narrative, which was taking the tragedy and turning it into a policy debate, and I read that as being a gun control debate. And unfortunately,
These
I think
are
a lot
sick
of the
people, man. The left is sick, dude. Liberalism is a mental disorder, man.
What they're talking about, because I'm a Republican, I'm a gun owner, I'm a responsible gun owner, and when we talk about gun control, it's not about taking guns away from people like me. It's about keeping them out of the hands of the people who should not have them, who are irresponsible, who are a threat to society. And when, you know, last night when Ted Deutsch kept repeating his mantra that he wants to eliminate any gun that can fire 150 rounds in 6 minutes, that's almost every gun that's out there. So this supposed assault weapons ban is...
Look, see, this is the stuff I'm talking about. David Hogg, it's like, I don't even report this stuff, man. But David Hogg was interviewing Ted Deutsch like a month before this happened. I mean, what are the odds of that? What are the odds that Hogg is shooting an anti-gun video hours before the shooting? What are the odds David Hogg gets a VIP tour of CNN, you know, and is sitting on the stage? What are the odds his father's an FBI? What are the odds that the same members of the drama club are the only people that make television? What are the odds CNN wants to censor anyone that's not a liberal?
Welcome back. You're on the War Room. It's Freedom Command Central with your co-hosts Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer. The shooting in Parkland has given the tech left and the mainstream media their forum for the drive for censorship. I made a mad dash for Washington, D.C. yesterday to speak to a Free Our Internet event where we commemorated the fight ahead. Let's roll that tape.
Amazon for Yahoo. It's not socialist media, it's social media. 2016 was the year in which the mainstream media lost their monopoly control of discourse regarding American politics. And now, the tech left, in a brutal campaign of censorship, wants to put the toothpaste back in the tube. That is not going to happen. And therefore, on every front, we need to oppose the war of censorship and expose the manipulation of the First Amendment and our right to free expression. Whether it is manipulation of the algorithms, whether it is shadow banning, whether it is their fake news notifications, they're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. We will fight this out in the courts. We will fight it out in the Congress. We will fight it out in front of the administration. And most importantly, we will fight it out in the court of public opinion. We are asserting notification on Google and the other big boys of Silicon Valley. You will not strangle the First Amendment. You will not silence us. The American people will not give up what they have learned, that through the internet, the political narrative is no longer controlled by 3 television networks and 2 cable news networks. No, the fight for the First Amendment will endure, and we will succeed. Thank you so much for being here. Free our internet.
And that pretty much sets the table. Only nights ago was the night of the long knives on Twitter, where thousands of liberty and conservative-oriented Twitter subscribers woke up to find out they were locked out of their Twitter feed, accused of being a bot. And then, after you filled out a form, if they readmitted you to Twitter, you found that huge swaths of your followers had disappeared. The internet entrepreneur, Jason Fick, who joined us on the War Room the night before last, tells me today that he has been blocked now from posting on Facebook, and he believes he is being monitored by Facebook. And then, of course, we have the extraordinary fight where CNN, a news organization, puts pressure and lobbies YouTube to decapitate, yes, you heard it, Infowars. Oh, and tell us what's going on in this particular struggle.
Well, specifically, when it comes to YouTube, what we deal with on a regular basis, in fact, what we're still dealing with here on the War Room, I don't remember the date. I mean, we haven't been able to go live on our YouTube channel for almost a month now, guys. I mean, what are we looking at? About a month, I think. And so what happens, Roger, is now here's the key, though, and this is why Fick was so spot on when you talked to him yesterday, because they are monitoring Fick. They are monitoring us. They have an extra special eye, extra special attention on us to try to catch us slipping up, catch any time they can to try to block us, ban us, etc. And so they'll find, you know, some clip that gets played. For example, we had a clip that we ran of Shaun White's gold medal Olympic run, a 30-second clip, and we got struck because it was caught in some algorithm that, okay, you're playing someone else's stuff, so you're not allowed to play it. 30-second clip of an Olympic run. I mean, you know, you'd think that'd be fair use. So this is kind of some of the stuff. But with the social media, it's a little different, because with Twitter, what they're doing is, like you said earlier, they're either deeming you a bot to try to, you know, just relieve you of their platform. They don't want you on there. Or they're doing the shadow banning, where they say, okay, we'll have some sort of algorithm that basically disappears you from the actual Twitter feed. So you'll make a post and your post will be there, but nobody's going to see it unless they specifically go to your channel. Now, in the Project Veritas video, you heard the guy from YouTube say that, how they want it to be, if you're going to search for Alex Jones on YouTube, well, you're not going to find him. You have to know to go to the Alex Jones channel, otherwise you're not going to find him. And it's really sick, isn't it, Roger? I mean, it's really sick that these people would do this. But you know why they do it is because they're scared. They're scared of our ideas, they're scared of our will, and they're scared of our policies actually rejuvenating America and then dominating the public opinion. That's why they do it. They're losers and they're cowards, and they know they can't defeat us in a debate or an idea, in a battle of idea and wit, so they just erase us from the arena, and then they stand tall like, ha, 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 look at me, I'm the champion. No, you're not. You're a coward and a fraud. You erased all your competition. You're a sick freak. That's what YouTube does. That's what Twitter does. And that's what Facebook does. And that's why they don't want you on Twitter, Roger, because you're better than them.
Well, this is about reasserting control. They're still smarting over losing the 2016 presidential election, where they had all the technological and financial advantages, and they had the more experienced candidate who didn't know that she was supposed to pitch her campaign to 270 electoral votes, and they lost. And now they seek, as I said in Washington yesterday, to put the toothpaste back in the tube. But the fact that CNN is specifically targeting Infowars and this ridiculous system of you get 3 strikes and you're out. This is reminiscent of Twitter. If you had 3 complaints, well, then you were under scrutiny. Well, if your tweets are controversial, if your posts on YouTube are controversial and fact-based, and they disturb the standard, conventional, liberal narrative, of course you're going to engender complaints. David Brock has people at phone banks making phony complaints all day when he's not paying for bots or trying to boost the SEO of negative stories that he plants about people on the right. So this is an abusive process. But if there's any better reason For you to go to the Infowars store now, it is to gird us for this fight. We are headed to an enormous battle here on every front, be it in the courts, before the Congress, before the administration, and most importantly, in the court of public opinion. Yes, in the streets through peaceful protest. And we need your help in this fight. We don't have the kind of loose change that they have at Google and many on the tech left. And therefore, we depend on you for our support. So if you go to the Infowars store, you can support the fight for freedom. You can support the fight against censorship. The Super Blue entire product line, a real favorite in our family, 50% off. Brain Force Plus, 25% off. These are extraordinary prices. And you not only get a great product, which I think you will enjoy and come to value, but you also help our struggle against those who would strangle the First Amendment, those who would knock Infowars off the air, off of Google, off of YouTube, off the internet. So it's win-win, folks. Help us get ready for this fight. Go to the Infowars store now. Owen and I are going to continue to break this down for you because, in a way, the Parkland tragedy has opened the door for a forum to try to silence us. And as we expose the phoniness of CNN's agit-prop town meeting, where everything was scripted with the exception of an exceptional performance by Dana Lash, well, that gives them the main chance. That's why they are in full throttle against us and why we need your help today. The Democratic establishment and the permanent two-party duopoly is celebrating, high-fiving themselves today over the news that former Paul Manafort deputy Rick Gates, who worked on the Trump campaign, has agreed to plead guilty to lying and other charges and will testify against Paul Manafort. I point out again that none of the charges levied against Manafort or Gates pertain either to Russia or to the Trump campaign in any way. Very clearly, the flipping of Gates is meant to put additional pressure on Manafort in the hopes that he will somehow testify against the president. The problem with this reasoning is that Manafort has nothing that he can say that will imply wrongdoing on the part of Donald Trump or his campaign pertaining to Russian collusion or, to my knowledge, any other issue. Therefore, Manafort's testifying against the president would have to involve the bearing of false witness, perjury. I still don't believe that he will do it. This is a bid by the special counsel to up the pressure on Manafort, but to what end is not exactly clear. Owen?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. I think that they want to get, Manafort or whoever it is, Manafort obviously the lead target right now, to admit to something that doesn't exist. They think they can bully him and, levy whatever kind of legal charges that they may think they have against him to say, all right, look, all you got to do is sell out the bigger fish. All you got to do is tell us how Trump colluded with Russia. Give us something. Tell us Trump has bank records. Tell us Trump has a connection. Just give us something. But the problem is there's nothing to give. So like you said, it's kind of an interesting scenario. They know there's nothing to give. They know that there's nothing there. So they know that they're asking for an impossible task, but they figure let's just put it in Manafort's court and let's see what he comes up with. And I agree with you. I don't think Manafort sells Trump down the river because even if he wanted to, what's he going to do? He's not going to perjure himself. He's not going to make something up. It doesn't really benefit him in the end. And you've got another situation where if Flynn's case gets dropped because of the way the evidence was obtained, well, now they're going to have to throw out Manafort's case too. So you've got all that going on. And Roger, I would suspect the same thing is happening behind closed doors to Hillary Clinton and Obama and Holder and Rice and the like, but nobody's talking about it. I would guess the same thing is happening to some of these people on the left saying, hey, look, we've got you here. We're not going to make a big fuss about it. We don't have some special counsel that has to update the public, but we've got you. And so you can either tell us exactly how X and Y went down and who is behind it, or you know, maybe there'll be some charges against you. Maybe there's some jail time that you need to check out. But how does Manafort just invent something about Trump that doesn't exist? That's their challenge. That's what they think they can get Manafort to do.
Yeah, well, the left is delusional. I mean, I read an extraordinary piece by Margaret Carlson on the Daily Beast this morning. Now, I know Margaret Carlson. I introduced her to Donald Trump, you know, in 2000 or 1999. There was a time when I thought she was a pretty smart, responsible journalist, but she just buys a whole hog the entire ridiculous notion of Russian collusion. She still looks at the completely benign meeting held by Donald Trump Jr., which produces nothing. She ignores the fact that the Russian woman lawyer in question is in the country without a visa, and that there's no upshot from the meeting. She produces no information, yet she claims to find a crime. There is no crime there. There is no Russian collusion. The entire idea that Donald Trump needed help from the Russians to win this election is an insult in itself. Hillary Clinton, who had all the financial and technical advantages, and far more experience at presidential politics, ran one of the worst campaigns in American political history. Donald Trump, who's thought to be an amateur, but who is in fact a public relations genius, ran one of the most epic, grassroots, unconventional presidential campaigns in American political history. He simply outfought, outfoxed, outthought, outstrategized her, and in the stretch, he outworked her. And the left just cannot admit that they took a beating, because they were picking out the curtains for the Oval Office when Donald Trump crossed the finish line.
Oh, but Roger, it's so obvious that Trump colluded with Russia and the Kremlin. You know, obviously he's got contacts at the highest level, probably talking to Putin, and that's why he had to send his son, Don Jr., to take some obscure meeting with a Russian lawyer that also happened to work with Fusion GPS to expose Bill Browder. So, I mean, of course Trump is colluding with Russia. That's why he has to send Don Jr. to some obscure meeting. I mean, that's what happens when you're colluding at the highest levels of the Russian government. You just have some random Russian lawyer to talk to. I mean, that's how it works. I mean, that makes sense.
Well, it just seems to me, with the indictment of 13 Russian nationals, we've now set a standard. Will Hillary be indicted for her colluding with Ukrainian nationals? Will FBI officials go to jail for colluding with a foreign national, Christopher Steele, who was dealing in turn with the Russians? Will George Soros be indicted? He's not a U.S. citizen, but he was interfering in the American election. A new standard has been set here, and no person is above the law. That's what they've told us. Yet we had these show indictments for a trial that will never happen, simply to create the headline: Russians interfered in presidential election. It's not until you get to paragraph 3 that you learn that there was no connection, coordination, or collusion with the Trump campaign. This is meant to prop up the sagging public relations of Mr. Mueller. And once again, the new indictments against Manafort and Gates that were unveiled today don't pertain in any way to Donald Trump or the Trump campaign or the presidential campaign of 2016. This is an exercise in high-pressure tactics to force Manafort to bear false witness against the president, and also to prop up the PR, the sagging PR of the special counsel, who, in the wake of the exposed text messages, God bless you, Judicial Watch, we have exposed as a completely naked partisan witch hunt.
Well, this is just going to be incredible to see how this all breaks down, because my guess is, you know, this Democrat memo is coming out. It may come out today, but it's expected to come out sometime next week. My guess is this Democrat memo and everything that they're all hopped up about was what came out today, or excuse me, what came out yesterday with the Mueller indictments. My guess is the entire Democrat memo is this, you know, millions of dollars they're claiming that Manafort was laundering and had offshore. I think that that's all they got. I mean, I don't know where else they go from here, and it's all going to blow up in their face. Again, Flynn's case is probably going to get dropped because the way they obtain the evidence, and then in turn, that means that Manafort's case is going to be dropped. Real quick, Roger, we got 15 seconds till break. Do you know if is Paul Manafort talking to Donald Trump, or does he have a conduit to talk to Donald Trump at all?
I have no way of knowing, Owen. I cannot address the question because I don't know the answer.
Okay, I would hope that he does, but that's interesting. Again, this is all coming down. Alex Jones is going to be joining us in the next segment. A rare Alex Jones, kind of like a rare Pepe. A rare Alex Jones joins us in the next segment. You're not going to want to miss it.
Well, this is it, Owen. This is what the CNN and the New York Times and Washington Post are crapping themselves over. This is the Infowar. Just regular Americans promoting good old-fashioned Americana. If you want hell on earth, go to North Korea or Venezuela. But why are we here? It's not about us. It's about the movement and the global awakening. And it's about the hell they tried to put us through, Trump through, and the patriots out there watching and listening. But here it is. Infowars' main YouTube channel is 2 strikes away from being banned. And then that was this morning. Now there's other strikes. So they said they're going to take the channels down. And I've read for what they say. They go, you bullied children. And they say that you said no one died and then attacked the children. No, these are high school seniors. They're public figures. They're putting out political statements. And they are pushing this whole situation. And then we didn't say nobody died. I think people got shot there. We didn't say that, but even if we did, that's our free speech. And so CNN goes, we can't show you the video. It's too hateful. But we have the video, and then we're going to play it later. Now, I don't even watch most of the time X-Files, which Chris Carter's a good guy. Says Alex Jones isn't a racist, and he had a really bold move as a powerful producer to have a pro-Alex Jones character in there. That was a revolutionary act. And I watched kind of the opening season, but I just don't watch fiction a lot. That's the only pro show. There are 10 shows we know of, Homeland, Kepler, who attack us 5 nights a week and who say things we never said. So Kepler, and you weren't going to play this, it's the same way. I've never really watched the show. I've seen a few clips because it's not like a power trip to get there with your wife and kids and go, here, let's see some teleprompter reading a-hole, say we're Nazis, and act all intellectual and read off a teleprompter. It's sickening. It's sad for America. It's like focusing on a tumor in your MRI or CAT scan. You don't want to focus. It's like, doctor, just get the damn thing out.
It's dumbing us down.
So I'm not into tumor worship. Exactly. And then McBreen said, listen, I know Owen doesn't want to watch this, doesn't want to see this, but you've got to watch this. So I watched this 20 minutes ago. That's why I came in and barged in on the show, and then you got a guest coming on. And I'm watching this, and I'm seeing this.
It's a flattering picture of me.
And we're it's huge breaking news. Wait a minute. And then I watch Kepler, just part of it. I watched like 2 minutes, all I could stand. And he basically at the end goes, these sons of bitches, they hate our children. They say our children weren't under attack. They don't play clips. They don't say any of it. You were incredibly subdued when they're in drama, they're in theater, they're going to CNN, their parents are anti-gun, they're in anti-gun programs before. They're the 4 out of 3,000 people. They edited it so you say that. There are 4 people out of 3,000 that are everywhere. And you go, why could that be? We're only seeing the 4 students. Could it be scripted? CNN is in the middle of a giant controversy for scripting and giving questions to everybody and not letting them say anything that was pro-gun. This is public. These are the guys that give Donna Brazile the questions for Hillary. These are the people that, staged Muslims protesting Muslim terror in London. They did fake Scud attacks from Georgia on a blue screen saying they were in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I mean, they said babies got thrown in incubators and their brains bashed out. So we launched all these wars and destabilized the whole Middle East. In fact, we have the babies in the incubators clip because that's admitted. It was the daughter of a PR firm owner, never been to Kuwait. Her dad was Kuwaiti. There were no babies. There were no throwing people out of incubators. None of this happened. So we're not saying this didn't happen. We're saying, hey, all these local news stations reported multiple shooters. Look at these clips. That's interesting. Why is it this national news? Then we have a student on that goes, oh, yeah, I talked to my friend. She was with the shooter, Cruz, the reported shooter, while the shooting's going on. And I'm like, I even said, are these people plants behind the scenes? I said, this is crazy. Because, you want to believe the terrible news, but it's still more believable that there actually is a crazy Prozac head doing this who said he'd do it, and the FBI stood down, and the sheriff's department. Now it's 4 deputies stood down for 5-6 minutes. Oh, Trump's bad, saying there was a stand down. Everybody was warned. The Democrat sheriff stood down.
The FBI.
But again, they say that's a conspiracy theory. And what they're doing is they're censoring all these videos where we have people saying multiple shooters, all of it. going, we believe there were shootings. We believe it happened. We're not attacking these kids. We believe they're given talking points. And then they edit it down and say, that son of a bitch, Owen Schroyer, he said these aren't even real people. What you said is they're being scripted clearly, all saying the same stuff. And then now CNN's been caught doing it. And so what does CNN do? They go, we're filing complaints and we're almost there to shut Alex Jones down. That's a news agency trying to shut down. I mean, I'm on over 200 radio stations. You're on probably 20 now. You're on a bunch of TV stations. We just signed a thing.
And we just picked up a new one, I think, in Utah, too, or something.
There's so many, I can't. Your brand new show, it's legendary. Usually people do like local show for 10 years. It's top, and they syndicate it. Fails 90% of the time. You're syndicated right away winning. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. The point is, we just signed a deal. We're not even paying for it, but we signed the agreement with 56 TV stations. In fact, that's why they're pissed at coming after us.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe we're failing. You're beating us. Everything's over. We're weak. Oh, my God, you defeated us. That's why they're coming after us, Owen, because they know that we're hitting them on every cylinder. So this Kepler guy, another pseudo-intellectual with his little skinny tie, and all the teleprompters are loaded up.
He's got the stacks of news like we do, except we actually read the stacks of news. He just puts it up as a prop.
Oh, they can't even deal with this. And why do we have stacks of news? Because computers load, things get changed, they change headlines. We just want to have everything we've looked at as a hard copy. Like, we pioneered this. We didn't like Karl Rove would have a stack of note cards at a debate to intimidate somebody. No, we don't do this to intimidate people. When I say I've got the damn thing trying to shut us down right here, we've got it. We're showing you. Document cam, please. David Knight is the most gentlemanly, nice person. Very intellectual show. That's what you want. You know, you got to be more flamboyant, you whatever. And I'm saying it, different strokes, different folks. He does a great job. They found on him saying he was bullying the children and then other stuff. And that's his own channel. They're shutting everything down right now. But this says we violated hate guidelines for harassment and bullying for videos saying multiple eyewitnesses report more than one shooter in Parkland, Florida shooting. I played the Houston station that was there for the baseball tryouts. I played the local station. And then we had the young black man senior on the show, Owen, to say all this.
Who we proved was a student. We knew he was a student.
Oh, Nope said he was fake. Because we're saying students are fake. They said he was an actor we hired.
And they had to retract that whole story.
They had to retract it. So they're doing everything they say we did, and then CNN says the #1 video, Kepler covers it and implies it's us, on YouTube, was that they were crisis actors. No, they just pointed out that he was an actor in different TV shows. They didn't even say crisis actors. It was somebody else's video. Then they say it's us, and they go, we're moving to have Infowars shut down for saying no one died or no one was shot.
But think about how unreal it is, Alex, where it reaches a level of hate, and I don't even know what you would call it. So
they're selling the end of the internet. This is the end of internet freedom. News Corps has joined with Sauron. They have announced in the Wall Street Journal they're going to shut us down as a test, and then everyone. It's been announced, just like Matt Drudge got told by the other conservative living Chief Justice, can't say his name. 2 years ago, Drudge came, he said, I met with him. He said, when Hillary wins, they're shutting down everything. They're going to come after all of us. They don't care Hillary lost. They're just going forward with it.
Well, they don't even care that they're going to say, oh, look at crazy Infowars reporting multiple shooters. They're crazy. And then out of the other side of their mouth,
KHOU.
And then they say, oh, but no one got shot. So Infowars is reporting multiple shooters, and they're reporting no one got shot. That doesn't even make sense. It's not even logical.
But here's the key. Is there a quote? Is there a video? No. CNN, who's caught staging town halls and giving Hillary Clinton the debate questions. When are we going to break here? The clock's the same, isn't it?
40 seconds.
All right, we're going to go to break. I'm going to come back. I got your guess. We can push them back. Kepler. Jordan Kepler, what's his name?
Josh Kepler or something?
And I don't just act like cool, like I don't know who he is. I don't watch, diarrhea coming out of somebody's ass. Okay, excuse me. I shouldn't talk like that. The point is that diarrhea coming out of a wart-infested butt, Kepler, is a joke. I mean, this is a parasite that reads off a teleprompter that has sold his soul with Viacom and Sumner Redstone to sit there and prey on America and bully us, and it's not going to happen anymore. So let's look at the anatomy of a literal enemy of this country when we come back. I knew too much. Does that make me crazy? So here's the deal. This is not our opinion. The Wall Street Journal announced it last week. We covered it, but it was so unbelievable. Headlines, Jones to soon be banned off YouTube. The end of Infowars is here. Hip, hip, hooray. And the head of News Corp goes, we're working with the left to shut down all alternative media, including liberal media. And then we'll only have about 100 corporations force-fed to you. And shareholders, hold on with us. Don't worry, we'll be profitable again. And I covered all this on the show today. And then we're very clear. I think people got shot at this thing. We had debates on both sides about Sandy Hook because there was a lot of anomalies. And then they think because we've debated stuff, we don't have a talking point, we're weak on that. Oh, they're weak on school shootings. Just say Jones says nobody got shot here. And then, oh, we need to ban Jones. He's putting out videos. It says it right here in the complaints. Document cam shot if you can. Jones is attacking and bullying the children for saying there's multiple eyewitness report. And then it's news, TV news. I'm showing clips of that. So, again, this is next level. Here's another one. David Hogg can't remember his lines in a TV interview. You play the clip. He's like, I'm sorry. Just get it right. Say it this way.
It's a video. What?
I mean, it's beyond. We're not saying no one got killed. We're not saying. We're saying these are the 4 students of 3,000 that his mom works at CNN, his dad's FBI. These are the PR people, just like CNN staged the town hall. And we're saying they're scripting, they're anti-gunners. That's a fact. And they go, no, you were hurting the children. You are a bully. You said no one died. And then CNN says, the video we got taken down, Jones and Destroyer say no one died.
You don't have a First Amendment right, though. That's what they're saying. You can't report. You can't talk. You don't have a First Amendment right. And then once we take away your First Amendment right and we stage these other shootings, well, then we'll take your Second Amendment right, too, because F you. That's why. Because F you, Nazi.
And by the way, the Sheriff's Department did stand down. Now it's 4 deputies.
So did the FBI. But you notice how David Hogg, whose father is in the FBI, has no problem with the FBI completely missing crews that was on their radar.
Yeah, they're there to change the subject, and I don't know what the hell's going on. I just know there's all these students going. I was with Cruz. He wasn't shooting people. I don't know what's going on. And it's like, it's on KHOU, and it's on other, and then they talk to a white girl, Hispanic girl, black guy. They're all saying the same freaking thing. They're well-spoken young adults. And then this other student says, I was there. It was a staged town hall, which is CNN has been famous for. On record, they do that.
They stage everything.
And then they go, you're fake. And then they say, what's the black guy's name we had on?
Jalen Martin.
Jalen Martin. He comes on. They say he's fake. Oh, they said the bullying of Jalen Martin. So here's the babies in incubators. And we're not saying this didn't happen, but if they fake babies in incubators to get us into a huge war, they could fake other things. So once that's been done, you have to question everything. Do school shootings happen? Abso-frickin-lutely. Does the internet think I'm Bill Hicks and I'm not? Abso-frickin-lutely. Do people think there's a flat earth? Yes, that's not us. They have articles saying, I believe the earth's flat. I believe there's a Martian colony with children on it. I never said that. So, again, we're in a total because we're effective. So here's the baby in the incubator clip, and then I'm going to get to this Kepler guy who I've probably watched clips 4 times because it isn't like fun. Oh, look, they're attacking me. Let's tear this. Even though it's good radio to cover this, when you know the backstory, when you know their scum, when you know who Sumner Redstone is, when you know all this stuff, it's like, man, this is really uncool for Kepler to watch somebody in the service of pure evil. So here's the admitted fake baby incubator clip from Congress in 1990.
Thank you very much. Our final witness is also using an assumed name, and again, we ask our friends in the media to respect the need to.
Yeah, it's totally fake. Let's not investigate this.
And we finally
same thing. See, you're being mean to the family and the child if you investigate because it was fake. Don't question.
Mr.
You're bullying
Chairman
a little
and
girl.
members of the committee, my name is Naira, and I just came out of Kuwait.
Never been to Kuwait, it turned out. You can look it up. It's even Wikipedia admits it.
Was it in the basement? CNN's basement, probably. Just like Charles Jaco.
My mother and I were in Kuwait on August 2nd for a peaceful summer holiday. My older sister had a baby on July 29th, and we wanted to spend some time in Kuwait with her.
So they personalize it.
I only pray that none of my 10th grade
And she's reading from a script. But if I say she's reading from a script, I'm a bad guy.
You're a bully, Jesus Christ! Take him down! Sorry.
I may have wished sometime that I could be an adult. That I could grow up quickly.
And this is why they get the actors to do this, because they can cry
What I
and
saw
they can get
happen to the
emotional
children
on
of
set.
Kuwait
And it turned out she's a young
and to my
actress.
country has changed my life forever.
Dad owns a huge PR firm.
It has changed the life of all Kuwaitis, young and old. We are children no more.
God.
My sister, with my 5-day-old
This is what they're doing today, Alex.
traveled
Oh,
across
that's
the
on
desert to
record,
safety.
And they can't have us get in the way of it because they're losing.
Kuwait.
Listen.
They barely escaped when their car was stuck in the desert sand, and help came from Saudi Arabia.
So she makes it personal. My family barely escaped. That was all
I stayed
lies.
behind and wanted to do something for my country. The second week after invasion, I volunteered at the Al-Adan hospital with 12 other women who wanted to help
the whole war. This launched the whole thing.
I was the youngest volunteer. The other women were from 20 to 30 years old. While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators.
And the Oscar
took
goes
the
to
incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
And it never happened.
Search engine, baby incubator controversy, and it says did not happen. She'd never been there. Total lie.
Who, if born premature, might have died that day as well.
All right, turn it off. Turn it off. So there you go. This is the kind of crap they pull. And then all we're saying is these people are all anti-gun out of 3,000 students. Why are they only talking to these 4? So that turns into all these headlines. Infowars is 2 strikes away from being banned from YouTube. CNN is directly lobbying YouTube to shut down Infowars. And they're all breathlessly saying, after Jones claimed no one died, he went too far. But don't worry, we're going to ban him right away. So let's go ahead now and go to your friend Kepler,
the human
who wants to attend. The thing is, you have to understand, this is a sophist. See, these sociopaths and psychopaths, they have no soul. So they have to, like, copy everything we do from the papers on the desk, everything, because they know how to invert. So everything he's saying, he's done. Everything he's saying is what they're up to. Everything they're saying our high schoolers that are on are actors. They're saying we're attacking children. They are. They're using children.
He said Trump colluded with Russia. Hillary did.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and go to Herr Kepler. Here it is.
Crisis actors, of course, trained professionals used to portray super realistic simulations of disasters. It makes so much sense if you're paying attention to sites like Infowars. Now listen to Owen Schroyer describe the Parkland students.
What it looks like is that the reason why the same people keep appearing on TV is because they are the ones being trained, and they may actually even have some experience in, acting.
Yes.
Stop right there.
Thank you, Owen.
Notice he says the Parkland students. No, the 4 who are admittedly anti-gun activists who are involved in all this and who are the spokespersons that get on TV and say to Dana Loesch, you're a murderer, we're going to burn you at the stake. They literally said, we're going to burn you. Burn her, weech, like a Monty Python skit. So again, everything they're saying, they're the ones saying, we're all murderers. We're murderers. They're in a man's world. We say, man, why is it the only 4 of you out there? It looks like it's scripted, and they go, ape crap.
They have people that go up and they give speeches. Alex, they have the symbol for the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Drama Club on their shirt. It's the Marjorie Stoneman Drama Club on the shirt.
Well, they admit that.
And it's like, oh, but I'm crazy because I said he's an actor. He's in the drama club, bro. You know what? Jordan Kepler has a show on Comedy Central. No, he doesn't. No.
And again, Kepler is a failed actor. So he's just another dropping of Soros. So let's go to the actor Kepler. Let's go back to him.
And thanks for taking the time off from Googling the sexual side effects of creatine to give us the real dirt on these.
There's an attack because you're masculine, look like you're in shape. Like just this little thing like, oh, let's laugh at him, he's in shape. Soy boys, let's continue. He hits everybody.
Crisis actors, of course, trained professionals used to.
But I am not a crisis actor.
I'm not a crisis actor.
If you had seen me in our school's production of Fiddler on the Roof, you would know that nobody would pay me to act for anything.
Even though you are an actor.
Literally,
this guy's in the drama
Roof
club.
is a great. Who did you play, by the way, in Fiddler on the Roof?
That kid is such a good actor. He took Wolf back to his...
No, there's 3,000 students. 4 are 99% of the media coverage. And then CNN gets caught telling everybody else with scripted questions. That's a huge national controversy right now. CNN, again, all the fake stuff they do.
How does he just say that I'm crazy for calling him an actor, and then it shows he's an actor? He literally just disproved his own segment.
That's what I'm saying, though. They have to, they just have a laugh track rolling, though. They're so cheap on All right, Roger Stone's coming up in the next segment with Owen, and he's got a guest on. Here's the bottom line. We've been censored a lot. You've been censored a lot. We've all been targeted. Anybody that's politically active trying to be a basic good person. But this is next level, and this is the announcement to basically end the free internet as we know it. And the reason I'm playing Kepler is it's ABC, it's CBS, it's NBC, it's CNN. They're all saying, Jones said the children didn't die. He hates the babies. We never even said that. They don't even show a clip. Think of the insult to you to say what we said and not show you. Basic journalism is if I said they chanted lock them up, like I played twice today, at CPAC with Trump. I mean, I played the damn clip. It is very insulting to say something like, I'm going to play this baby incubator clip, and then I play it. So I'm pretty calm about this. It's not like I'm trying to make my bones and trying to be big in media. And, you know, I need to do something here. And, oh, my God, we're already banned on YouTube. They already demonetized us a year ago. They already block it 95%. It doesn't even matter. It's that they would announce it and CNN would say we're going to shut it down and then have Kepler come on and get all pissed at the end we're going to play and say that we're saying that kids didn't die and then not even play the clip. It's next level. So let's go back to the rest of so-called comedy masquerading as news, reading off a teleprompter and putting out false information, and then saying they're covered and protected because it's entertainment. Here it is.
I will say CNN might be a pile of globalist lies, but goddamn Jake Tapper was mesmerizing in Streetcar.
Pause again.
Stella.
Jake Tapper and all these guys are fakes. They're all putting out, reading off teleprompters, but we're making jokes that, oh, now Jake Tapper is an actor. That's funny. Ha, 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 ha. And, oh, Anderson Cooper's in the CIA, too. Oh, you know, it's true. Ha, ha, ha. And that's all it is. That's all they've got. And again, the word is sophistic. It's all just papered over, plagiarized lies. They can't even come up with an original lie.
Jake Tapper is paper mache. I've met the guy. He's literally a joke.
They're just sociopaths that read off a teleprompter. Here, let's go back.
Stella. Stella. Hauntingly steady. So, if we trust the free thinkers and ignore the mainstream authority, this argument against gun control gets so much easier. They're not kids whose lives have been torn apart by gun violence. They're actors. Method actors willing to do anything for their art. In fact, they're so method, they enrolled at a random high school in Florida and waited for there to be an actual school shooting. On this scale of acting commitment, that's like Daniel Day-Lewis multiplied by Nicolas Cage.
Mother's CNN, father's FBI. 4 kids out of 3,000 are all over the news. They're staging town halls. Well, there's a shooting. They've got little globalist minions and leftists everywhere. We're just saying, why are they giving some leftist drama students all the attention?
Why can't we report on David Hogg, who's the lead voice of the anti-gun movement from this school? Why can't we report on him going to CNN, taking a VIP tour at CNN? There's other people.
And we're about to break the evidence of how much he's selling these interviews for.
I mean, it's crazy. He's got this video. It confused me yesterday where I don't know who clips this video, who's selling it. I mean, it's David Hogg's original property. I'm assuming he was the one that sent it off to UStory or UpStory or whatever it's called. And then what they do is he's got part of the video when he's apparently in a closet while the shooting is happening, interviewing some girl about gun violence. Then he clips in a different interview that he shot before.
Here's the deal. We all know, exactly, we all know what scripted stuff looks like. We all know when we're watching a afternoon special, after school special. And I mean, it's like as fun as a $3 bill. We're not saying people didn't get shot. We're saying, what the hell are you up to? We're going to come back and finish the clip.
We're not allowed to report on it. That's the problem. We can't report on it because we don't go with the official narrative. How dare you even exist and question anything? How dare you?
The issue is they're in the news saying we said something we didn't say and then saying they're going to ban us. And the news, there's headlines like, woo, Infowars is going down, going to get shut down. And it's like, you idiots are cheerleading the end of the First Amendment. Twitter, Google, Facebook have all announced the end of free speech for your safety.
They're so free speech, they want to ban it.
All right, Owen Schroyer here, Alex Jones here. We're going to go to Roger Stone, and he's got a guest coming up. I'm just going to leave it at this, finish the Kepler clip. We are seeing the complete rollout of total censorship, and News Corps is at the heart of it, and working with Time Warner, and says we're going to get the public. They're writing articles explaining the sales job. We're going to get the left on board to end free speech. We're going to actually end everybody's free speech, though, and we're going to start with Alex Jones next week.
And they've already dehumanized you, so they go along with it.
And then this week it starts, and they put out lies, and then they move to ban our channels. And it's completely anti-human, anti-free speech, anti-American. And the public is so dehumanized and so narcissistic and so atomized that a lot of people are like, well, that'll be less competition for us, as if they don't get there next. So they have Kepler on, and we're going to finish this clip. And I go, this is Comedy Central, which is the king of fake news. Again, fake comedians reading off teleprompters, posing as newsmen, attacking real news people. And they then go on to say that we're saying only crisis actors were there. We never said that. We're saying they've got 4 kids that are scripted Democrat operatives on record that they're using as be the only voice of the children, the young people, the young adults. And then if we point that out, they're in a man's world political saying, you're murderers to NRA members, you're murderers. You know, I'm looking down the barrel of Cruz's gun, Rubio. Oh, yeah, Dana Loesch, you're a murderer. Burn her, burn her. We're like, here, Tan, burn us and kill us. Hell, don't blame us, son. Oh, my God, you were just mean to a little baby in the manger. You came over and hit the baby in the nose. That's the level of this. And it's the full rollout with the corporations, the news groups together, realizing they're failing. This is their move. This is their move. So this is a big, big deal. Let's go ahead and finish up with the Kepler.
Like Daniel Day-Lewis multiplied by Nicolas Cage to the streeped power carry the Joaquin Phoenix. And don't think this is just some fringe thinking anymore. It's in the mainstream. Look, this video calling one of the survivors a crisis actor was the #1 trending video on YouTube this morning. And YouTube never steers us wrong. They taught us that cats could play keyboards and that Charlie bites, and it really hurts. This theory about crisis actors has even made its way to the First Family, with the president's own son, Don Jr., liking a tweet attacking the...
Again, they say that no one died, crisis actors, which we didn't say. They notice they never show a clip. Then they talk about somebody else's video that got banned, so we all deserve to be banned. Oh, this video got banned, so all of you, the whole First Amendment's gone because this got banned. And then Don Jr. tweets out, these people are Democratic Party operatives. They're getting talking points, which is admitted. Why is it only these 4 kids? They don't show you his tweet. They just go, and he says there's crisis actors and nobody died, and the Loch Ness Monster is real. See how they, again, total fraud, but you're sitting there watching it like you're getting truth. And Kepler is again, like the classic psychopath in school, and he's just lording and enjoying the lies, and they just sit there at their Viacom and just pet over their fraud. Just, deceive the filth. Just like Gruber said, I hate Americans, and they're scum, and I'm going to lie to them. It's the same spirit of, I'm Kepler, Viacom likes me, I'm going to screw over people. I'm going to show America, because if I can mount America's head on the wall, I'm a big man.
If I can sit here and lie about Infowars, I'll be the next Colbert. I'll get the next nightly show. I'm going to lie all day because that's what they want me to do if I'm going to make it in this business.
That's right, I'm a real piece of filth. I'm a real man.
Look at me, establishment. Look at how gross and disgusting I am. Look at the lies I'll say on television. Promote me.
We'll teach flyover country, these damn Christians. Let's go over here. Let's go back to Kepler. He's just so intellectual, little style, skinny, he's better than you. He's better than you. Here, let's go back to him.
Credibility of the students. That's a big deal. Don Jr. only loves 2 things: Russian dirt on Hillary and screaming dilly dilly in the Trump Tower bar.
That's right, because Russian dirt on Hillary doesn't matter.
So,
and even though all the dirt that they got from the dossier is from Russians that Hillary paid for.
People claiming that these kids are actors from an undisclosed basement in Texas to the highest halls of power. Absolutely.
I mean, claiming, Alex, we're claiming.
You're like, these kids are actors Democrats picked to be spokespersons. They turn that into, no one died, their crisis actors are fake, but they are actors. But now, he claims they're actors. We just showed you their goddamn excuse me, Lord. They just showed them they're actors. I mean, how could you watch? That's what I mean. It's like Satan writes this, though, because how do you make everything a lie? Like it's really very skillful. Like,
you know what it is, Alex? I realized this today. The only reason that they do that is because they thought we were dead. They literally thought humanity was dead. They thought that humans were brainwashed into just total nothingness. The chemicals.
And they were the ruling class, and we weren't human.
But we're still alive. I'm still a human, Jordan Kepler. We are alive. Our audience is alive, baby. We're not dead yet. You got that? And the president isn't dead either, you scum. We're not dead,
because
Alex.
they can only rule over dead people.
But we're not dead.
We're not. You're right. So let's go back to Turd Blossom. Here's Lord Kepler.
You for doing the hard work of calling children liars and leading the fight against common sense.
Back it up 10 seconds. Again, now here's the final punch. You called children liars. You said nothing happened. You filth. I'm such a hero. And tries to put violence out against us so they can then say, oh, look, we're censoring them, but they hurt children. We're getting rid of free speech, but meanwhile, they're a factory of lies. Go ahead and roll it.
Texas, to the highest halls of power, I salute you for doing the hard work of calling children liars and leading the fight against common sense. Some might call you cowardly, ill-informed, dangerous, reckless, unbelievable, spineless, gutless shitbirds, dick for brains, you motherfuckers.
They're allowed to cuss on cable. We're not.
Those people are actors.
And again, I've never called any of them liars.
But here's the deal. This is all when you're a beta psychopath, and it's whole clubs. These people are so alone. They all hate each other. They all talk crap. I mean, you go into these buildings, Comedy Central, CNN. I've been in them. It's soulless. They pay people almost nothing. Most people aren't even paying. That's
how they get off, though.
I'm in the establishment, though. I got a show on Comedy Central. I'm a big deal. I'm a big man. Yeah.
And it's these parasite parts of the country that are just and they hate us because they know we fund them. And they know we're strong. They know we're good.
They know we're still alive. They're dead. We're alive. I mean, they are dead. They assume that everyone else is dead. So they think they can lie.
By the way, we're not just saying this. They know they're lying. They know we didn't say those things. They know.
That's why they don't play the clips.
They're just preying on their poor little audience. And the good news is no one's watching it. I mean, when you've got people that brain dead watching, you have nothing. You're going to come back with Roger Stone as guest here. I appreciate them holding while I popped in. This is a big full assault on the First Amendment, though, so I want to just ask viewers and listeners to spread the live links, Infowars.com/show, videos, you name it. We've known all this is coming, and we've got a lot of preparations for it, but it's all up to you taking action. Infowarsstore.com, InfowarsLife.com. I've been so busy this week, I didn't come up with the new specials, and I need to because we're about to sell out of the fluoride-free toothpaste with the colloidal silver and iodine fortified. We're about to sell out of the Icarin liver and kidney cleanse, the Cell Force, 53% off, because I need to get rid of those cells because they're selling out. And then some of it's months till we get more, so it's kind of good to like have a sale and then kind of wait so we make full profit on it to fund the operation, but doesn't matter. A lot of great deals right now, Infowarsstore.com, InfowarsLife.com. And just keep committing, and you are dumping hot coals on top of their heads politically. They cannot stand it when you get a bottle of Brain Force, you get a book or a video or a T-shirt and wear it and exercise it. They are bullies. They're scum. They're failures. They're losers. They're trash. They're authoritarians that crave power. And all you've got to do is just exercise your basic liberty, spread the word about the show, get the products, call into C-SPAN, whatever it is you're going to do. You do those little things, you will overpower the soulless, empty people, the trash. Hollywood's collapsing, the Oscars, the NFL, the stupid Nazi Olympics was created by Hitler. Once they rebooted it, I mean, Hitler drew the rings. It's like everything's like, if you're really Hitler, you're like everywhere, like Volkswagen,
like George Soros.
Exactly. If you're really Hitler, you like run everything, like
IBM Watson,
like IBM, like. What's the name of that thing? The whole, it's just Juncker, the head of the EU's unelected dictator, is the freaking Nazi heir, and it's like just worshiping, just liberals like, oh, we love Nazis, oh, we love it.
No, we're not going to back down. In fact, we're going to stand up taller, and we know that our audience is going to do the same thing, and that's what happens every time they try to stop us, ban us, and shut us down. The audience just gets more active, and we continue to expand. And then they want to lie about us with this Jordan Kepler show. They want to lie about Alex on CNN. They want to lie about Roger Stone when they talk about him. And then real people hear it and they're like, wait a second, I know that they're lying about that. And then it clicks in their head like, wow, CNN is just liars. Wow, Jordan Kepler, that's a fake news show. I mean, Roger, I mean, you have to deal with this all the time. People lie about you. You have to deal with lawsuits. You get banned on Twitter. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, the Jordan Kepler thing is somewhat ironic. Kepler's producer has asked me several times in the last 60 days to come on the show. And finally, I said, no, I have a better idea. Why don't you have Jordan come on Infowars? We'd be more than happy to interview him. And guess what? I never heard back. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, imagine my shock.
Yeah, well, they certainly picked a flattering photo of you, I must admit. I mean,
I'm honored to be in that picture with Don Jr., you know?
It's so outrageous. In any event, to further this narrative, joining us now is Carla Spalding, who is an accomplished Jamaican-American woman, a veteran, a registered nurse, who was screened by CNN for their town hall, but not allowed to appear or speak. Guess why? Because she doesn't support an anti-war narrative. Carla Spalding, welcome to the War Room.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stone. Thanks for having me here. And you are correct. During that protest, I actually visited 2 of them. And the last one, we had CNN, and CNN, I said, listen, this is all bias. I said, why don't you interview someone who actually can portray the other side and also be a voice of the other students who do not necessarily feel the same way that you are telling them what to say. And the gentleman said, no, I cannot speak, and they will not allow that. So it was very frustrating for me and very frustrating for other students as well. And the issue is, it's not, we need to come together in the sense of what is best for the children and the safety. And obviously, we've messed up big time, not just the school, not the sheriff. Mental health is a major, major problem within that, and the community. So if we're going to blame anyone, it's definitely not just the guns. We can't blame the guns. We have to take a look at our responsibility as citizens in the United States and stop this one-sided news that CNN tends to be embedded with the Democrats to brainwash our children to say what they want to say and to do as they say.
The town hall that I watched was a public relations extravaganza. I was in a surreal position because I know and I like Scott Israel, the Democratic sheriff, who I think is an honest man. He's a Democrat. We don't agree on national politics. That night he said that people who are mentally ill shouldn't have guns. I don't think Owen and I disagree with that whatsoever. Now we learned that there were, I think the correct number is actually 23 individual complaints about Nicholas Cruz. And as a result of one of those complaints, the Florida Department of Families and Children not only gave him counseling, gave him medication, and then after a 2-month period, they closed his case. The system is clearly broken here. The FBI also had advance warning. We now learn about a cowardly deputy sheriff who was supposed to be patrolling the school, who waited outside the facility. That man would have been terminated, but he took his retirement as allowed by Florida law. We don't know because there's no final report on exactly what happened. And therefore, it seems to me that many of the critics of Infowars have jumped to conclusions before we have all the answers. One thing is absolutely clear. We here at Infowars never said that no one was shot. We never said this was not a tragedy. But even Tucker Carlson on Fox, owned by the News Corporation, it made it clear that the students who were being featured on CNN were scripted, were carefully chosen. We are not alone in this assertion.
Well, may I say something?
Certainly.
Well, I can tell you this. At one of the protests, I actually had one of the students came up to me and said, can I represent them? because that's not the way they were feeling. And it was truly just one-sided. They felt that being safe, the first thing they can do to return to school was to have a police or officers that would really protect them on the school compound, and that would give their lives for the children. That was the first thing. They also wanted metal detectors at their school, because then that would censor if something is coming in. Because honestly, if, let's say he didn't use the gun, but he made a bomb and had it on him, they still wouldn't know because they don't have anything to detect that. So we really need to look at several options that can be done and help the students. And their voices are not being heard, only partial. And those are the ones that are just done strictly through the Democratic Party and CNN and all the other liberals.
And I'd like to inject a point here too, guys, where, you know, I think it's awful that we have to consider in our society putting these type of, you know, security measures at a school, that we've reached this point in our society where people are so sick and people are so deranged and people are so filled with hate that we have to be concerned that someone's going to go shoot up a school or go bomb a ball game, or I don't know, maybe the fact we have these open borders, you have violent gang members coming in, radical terrorists coming in. It's sad that we've gotten to this point, but you notice how they never want to have the intellectual debate at what got us here. Why do we have to have the security? Why are we talking about this? It's no, just stop the Constitution, stop the Second Amendment, as if that's going to be the be-all, end-all. That's not the be-all, end-all. That's not going to solve this. That's just going to destroy this country.
Well, you know why?
Go ahead, Carla, please.
That's because we're used to having Band-Aids for everything. Congress put a Band-Aid on everything. We don't go straight to the root cause. And if we can put it off for another 6 months or to the next election cycle, then we'll have an answer. We'll keep promise and promise and promise, and we never really fix the issue. But this is why I like Donald Trump. He said, okay, let's fix it. What are we going to do? Let's come together. But the only result or a conclusion that the Democrats could really come up with is just to talk about.
And we lost Carla. I think she was going to say, Roger, to ban the Second Amendment, ban assault rifles, ban whatever it is. As she said, put a Band-Aid on the issue and then push it till we get to the next Congress.
Well, Owen, one thing's very clear. We have outlawed drugs. Are they not available? Prohibition will not work. At one point, we outlawed alcohol. Was it unavailable? Outlawing guns will not make guns unavailable to outlaws and other miscreants. That's the fundamental problem. I think the president's addressing this in some constructive ways, short of stripping us of our Second Amendment rights. Let me thank Carla Spalding, also a Republican candidate for governor, an accomplished woman, again, denied the opportunity to speak by CNN. Owen, I'm going to let you wrap this up.
Well, Carla, I think that this is just another example of how they claim to be, oh, we're inclusive, we want everyone, and then here you are running for Congress. They don't want to talk about that. Here you are saying, hey, let me provide a different opinion on this. They don't want you to have that either. Carla Spalding, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again. Can't stop. Addicted to real news. You know, I just want to say thank you to the Jordan Kepler Show for including me and Don Jr. in a hit piece together. Don, I'm a big admirer of yours, Don Jr. I'm a big fan of yours, and it was an honor to be involved in the same hit piece as you. So thank you to the Jordan Kepler staff and crew. You're obviously big fans of mine. You're probably watching right now. So hello! And maybe next time you can actually play the clips of me saying what you claim that I'm saying on the air. Oh, wait, that's impossible because you made it up. But thank you for including me and Don Jr. in a hit piece together. Really thrilled with that. Now, Tyler Nixon joins me. Tyler, you know, I mean, there's news across the board. I'm not sure where you want to start. I would like to ask you, though, given your legal expertise, have you reviewed much of the latest Mueller indictment yet?
No, I haven't looked at it at all, actually.
Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, there's not much there. They just have Manafort and Gates for money laundering and offshore accounts. It has nothing to do with, Russian collusion.
They're just piling on. I mean, I did glance at it. They're just piling it on. You know, they're trying to basically break these guys. And, you get to a certain point where you're talking about the rest of your life at stake here, all the marbles. People will lie. They'll make things up. And I'm sure they have a more than willing group of prosecutors there to go along with whatever they can come up with in terms of, fabricating whatever they need to fabricate, frankly. And it's a disgrace, I think, when you put this much pressure on, and again, having nothing whatsoever to do with Russian collusion, still not a drop of evidence in that direction, nothing. We're alternating between, I'm sort of, it's the end of the week, Owen. We got to achieve a certain zen about things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's only so much we can affect. And I think that there comes a point where we need to think about, they're about mind control. That's what they want. They want to control our minds. They want to control our moods. They want to control how we feel, whether we fear or not. And I think it's, the best thing that you can do, the first step to fighting back these ghouls, these parasites, these vampires, is to make sure that you're in control of your own mind and your own feelings and your own mood, and that you're centered and that you're prepared for anything, and that you're thinking about the big picture and you're not letting them get under your skin. Yeah, it's good to get riled up. It's good to get fired up. But at the same time, the energy should be devoted towards thinking about, visualizing the result that we want, which is that these people will continue to flame out. They're going to be all hat and no cattle. They're going to be basically just, all the Sturm und Drang and the sound and fury signifying nothing in the end. And I think we need to think about concrete steps moving forward to safeguard our liberties, to safeguard our rights and our future. And I think that involves beginning to connect with other people within this. I think there's a movement, but there's also like-minded people who, being believers in liberty, being libertarians, being good, kind, compassionate people who care about others, who don't control others, who aren't looking to dominate, manipulate, and thieve and control and mock. And, just as we witnessed with that snarky, petty nonsense that's just, is that the best you got? We're supposed to take these people seriously. And to begin to think about gathering those people in your life and being prepared for anything and visualizing the result that we will prevail, that we will outwork them, we'll out-hustle them, just as President Trump did in the 2016 campaign. He went through that slog. I can't imagine. I would sit at points in the campaign and think about the schedule this guy had to endure. I mean, where he'd be leaving people in the dust, frankly. He'd be doing 4 speeches a day. And I marveled. I mean, I was in the Army infantry. I humped a ruck. We'd be up for days on end. We'd do a 25-mile force march and, bunker in position for 3 days, nonstop in the rain, trying to dig positions out and that kind of thing. But I'll tell you, he's got stamina, and that's what we need to find within ourselves. I think Infowars has done an amazing thing with the nutraceuticals, with these products. I've taken my my winter sun, and the what's the red? I guess it's the iodine, whatever it is.
The Survival Shield X2.
What's that?
The Survival Shield X2.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's that stuff works. I mean, it really does. It really does make a difference, and it's good. You need that nutrition. You need those supplements. I've been a believer in supplements for a long time. My father was a dentist and a doctor, and he swore by them. He was like literally kind of religious about them. This is like back to the early 1980s, late 70s. And that being said, I think, just make sure everybody out there, you're focused on your health. You're focused on your family, your immediate surroundings. Get right with your immediate environment. Think about your community. Think about who's around you. That's where it really all begins, because it comes down to this. It really sickens me that I see what. I was stationed in Berlin, by the way, so I was in Germany. I saw all the monuments to Nazism, to National Socialism, to tyranny. These folks are following almost the playbook of the Hitler Youth, and how they're using young people, and how they have reached the point where we're not buying their bull crap anymore as, these sort of authoritative, whatever you want to call them, the Clarions of the people, the narrative, the press, whatever, the propagandists, the Joseph Goebbels. When Goebbels, it becomes old and people are sort of like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're not buying that. That's when they go for the children. That's when they begin indoctrinating, where they can send out children, basically, who are so indoctrinated and sold into their ideology, into their twisted designs, whether it be out of, and frankly, a lot of bad reasons. You know, just because people are kids, just because they're young, doesn't mean they can't be evil. And the bottom line is there's a lot of them who are lapping it up. They like the attention. They like being, you know, heard. They like being these. I mean, literally think of the films that you've seen of the Hitler Youth, of any movement where they use children. You know, go see Lord of the Flies or any movie like that, and how what we saw in some of these kids, particularly that one. He's the one I think, well, there's two of them. One stood up and talked to Rubio and faced down Rubio. The other was had the hair going out, whatever. And they both spoke with this, like, you're a little Hitler Youth. You know, who do you think you are?
Yeah, an authoritarian.
Honestly, like,
yeah, they have like an authoritarian presence, like an authoritarian delivery.
Yeah, yeah, because
like how you can't disagree with me.
And like, you know, you're going to speak with all this like contrived Hitler-esque, in my opinion. Same thing, just theater. You know, no offense, bub. I didn't eat sand and mud and shit in the Middle East. I'm sorry, in Germany and everywhere all over the world, to have some punk who can't even shave yet telling me how to live my life and telling me you're gonna, you know, sick the government on me. I mean, let's get down to what it is. They're not looking to change anything in their environment. They don't want to do anything. They want to sit in the spotlight and be the, you know, be the golden-haired whatever, little Hitler Youth leaders. And meanwhile, ultimately, it's the cudgel of government. They're going to send out stormtroopers if you don't obey. And that's what it's really coming down to. Oh, and we're going to have to decide for ourselves in our own lives, what are we willing to accept? What are we willing to tell them we're not going to take? That you're not coming. I don't care. You can pass any laws you want. You can call it a crime, whatever. We're not giving up our firearms. We're not giving up our rights. We're drawing our lines. Just like Rosa Parks stood up and, you know, or she sat where she wanted on the bus. Hey, and we need to force these people to come out with what they're about, which is sending in people with firearms, exactly what they abhor, to basically menace and control and throttle you, if not murder you, if you don't do what they want and what they say. Okay? We can get into the constitutional arguments of it. Unfortunately, we're dealing with totally ahistorical, indoctrinated, mind-controlled drones, if not little fascists who have they don't care about what the legacy and the birthright of this country is and what the bloodshed that's gone on, so they can run around and live in the lap of luxury, you know, living the life of Riley and acting like they're under siege. But you know, we can certainly get into more. I'd like to get into the constitutional aspects of why the Constitution is not just a document or a charter. It's what constitutes us.
And it makes it very clear the government can't take away my rights because the government didn't give me my rights. God did. Some little twerp that's virtue signaling because he's told what to say on CNN. Sorry, buddy. You can't take away my rights, man. You're not God. So the Jordan Kepler show does a hit piece on myself and Don Jr. Just like, I mean, honestly, hi, Jordan Kepler staff. Hello. Hi, guys. Hi. They wouldn't have any content if it wasn't for us. How ironic is that? But so we played the clip earlier. The Jordan Kepler show is attacking me, saying I said that the people that are on television from the Florida high school and shooting survivors are actors. They're actors. Sorry, that guy looks like such a dork. Yes, he looks like a dork. So he attacks me and he says, Schroyer says they're actors. And then here, put that other image back up because this is the key. Darren McBreen points this out to me. He says, this is how their propaganda works. They put crisis actors on the view, like, so you see it. So you see crisis actors and you think, oh, he's saying they're crisis actors, even though I never said they were crisis actors. I only said they were actors. So it's like multiple layers of propaganda. So they play the clip. It's like a 2-second clip of me saying they're actors. Then he takes it to the next level of saying, oh, he says they're crisis actors. And then now that he's got the ball rolling, he says, oh, and he also says that no one died there and there wasn't a shooting at all. And the whole thing is fake. So that's how they work. That's how the propaganda works. It starts with one level of lie, or it's not even a lie. It's one level of taking something out of context. That's playing a short clip of me saying something, just a short clip, not giving it context, then taking that and claiming that I'm actually saying something else. So they take a statement, then they take it out of context, Then they give you the visual propaganda of crisis actors. Now they got the ball rolling and they take it to the final stage. Schroyer says no one was shot. Schroyer says it's all fake. But wait a second. Let's go back to the beginning. Schroyer says they're actors. Oh my gosh, he's crazy. He says that all the people that are going on television, all the people that are speaking are actors. And he's nuts. They're not actors. Oh, Jordan Kepler and staff, since I know you're watching, why don't you play this video tonight on your show?
Beginning of our history. Please be on the right side of it. Help us. Help us so children don't fear for going to school. Help us so mass shootings aren't inevitable. Help us so our children, our grandchildren,
the
and their
drama
children
teacher,
after
right
that
behind this
don't
girl,
have to
the whole
march for
time,
their
behind all the
lives.
speakers. The drama
Help us
teacher.
for our 17 fallen brothers and
Their
sisters.
drama teacher. Oh, there she is, in the drama club. Oh, the speaker's in the drama club. Oh, there's the other speaker, wearing the drama club shirt. Oh, there's another one. Oh, also an actor.
Ashley! Hi! I ran into the classroom and my drama teacher turned off all the lights.
Who do you play? I play Annie!
The National Rifle Association pushes to preserve our right to bear arms per the Second Amendment. Yet what they don't say is that the Second Amendment...
Seminars offered focus on a variety of written, broadcast, and photojournalism topics.
If you had seen me in our school's production of Fiddler on the Roof, you would know that nobody would pay me to act for anything.
What, because you're a bad actor? Earth to Kepler, Earth to Kepler, Earth to Kepler. We just caught, what was that? You know what? Play it again. I'm serious. Play the video again. I'm going to count this time. I'm actually going to count. Here you go. Here are all of the actors. Half of them admit they're actors on TV, and the fake news Comedy Central Jordan Kepler show says I'm crazy for calling them actors. Let's actually count them all out now. Let's play it again. Here's all of the actors that go on television, that go to CNN. Here are all of the actors. They are actors. They are in the drama club. They're on Fiddler in the Roof. They're in Annie. Here are the actors. Let's count them out. Hey, Kepler and crew, here's the actors you claim aren't actors.
Beginning of our history.
All right, there's one.
Please be on the right side of it.
We got one.
Help us. Help us so children don't fear for going to school. Help us so mass shootings aren't inevitable. Help us so our children...
There's the drama club teacher overseeing the whole thing.
Don't have to
Obviously, probably hates Trump, probably an anti-gun liberal. Liberalism is a mental disorder.
Next is Delaney Tarr.
Okay, so there's one. All right, now we got two. He's wearing the drama club logo on his shirt. All right, there's three. All right, now we got three.
Ashley! Hi!
There's number four. Now we got four.
My drama teacher turned off all the lights.
Who do you play? I play Annie!
The National Rifle Association...
Five. Now we got five.
...right to bear arms per the Second Amendment. Yet what they don't say is that the Second Amendment...
Seminars
Six. Now six. Who says she wants to be an anchor at CNN? Yeah, because that's what CNN anchors are. They're actors. Here's seven. Seven.
Pay me to act for anything.
Okay. So there's 7 actors that mainstream news has used to push their talking points and to push their anti-gun agenda on television. I'll tell you what, Kepler and crew, you can just take me to a nice steak dinner and I won't forgive you. You can take me out for an old fashioned and I won't forgive you. But I'll tell you what, I dare you lowlifes over there in the fake news media, I dare you to play that video that we put together on your show. I dare you. Oh, but you're not going to do it because you're too cowardly. See, the reason why you say I'm a coward, and then apparently they were making other stuff. I'll get to that in a second. Jordan Kepler says I'm a coward. According to Jordan Kepler, I'm a coward. Okay, Jordan. Well, I'm such a coward. Why don't you come on my show and see how much of a coward I am? Or since you're such a big tough guy and I'm such a coward, why don't you play that video on your show that we just played? Or are you too cowardly? Yeah, my guess is you're too cowardly. That's my guess. I mean, that's just unbelievable, folks. Let me just hit some news here before we sign off. Oh, man. the midterm elections are coming up, folks. Those are so key. It's not even funny. And Dianne Feinstein is now looking like she's in trouble. That's good news. That's a Democrat stronghold. If we can start see, here's the thing. If we remove, see, people get confused. When I say we need to end the left, that's talking about if we take away their mouthpieces and we take away their votes in Congress, that's how we begin it. Once you take away their votes in Congress and their mouthpieces in Congress, then all of a sudden CNN and MSNBC just become some weird echo chamber of nothingness where they still push out the propaganda and the anti-American stuff, but there's no teeth because there's nobody in Congress that follows through. So then, now that you've got a Congress that isn't full of a bunch of fake liberal Democrats that are like Nancy Pelosi worth over $100 million, now you've got a new Congress in there that's not going to get those votes, that's not going to get those mouthpieces. I mean, if you can get rid of the Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Adam Schiffs, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. But those are the people in Congress you have to get rid of. So then all of a sudden they don't have a vote. They don't have a voice. So then MSN and CNN and all the other fake news kind of become this weird, like talking point driven news service that has no teeth, has no policy, has no issue. They just kind of spout this stuff out into a vacuum that doesn't even exist. And then after a while, and some of this is already happening, Trump gets elected president, CNN's ratings are collapsing. And then after a while, people realize this is just fake news pushing out talking points into some vast sphere of non-critical thinking that they just want you to eat up without asking any questions. And then nobody watches that. And then what happens? They have nothing. They have nothing. So what? A bunch of dumbass liberals are going to go out on the street and protest? No, they're not, because they're not going to get on TV, because they're not hearing their people in Congress and CNN cheerleading them on. They're going to disappear back into their basements. By the way, apparently, you know what? Screw it. I don't need to talk about what Jordan Kepler says about me. They literally say I'm loitering in smoke shops. I don't even smoke, and Jordan Kepler says Schroyer loiters in smoke shops. By the way, jobless claims plunge to 222,000 under President Trump, the second lowest mark in decades. Thank you, President Trump, for trying to save America. Trump has also directed the Pentagon to schedule a military parade for Veterans Day. And that will tick off the left, even though they love when North Korea does it. You know, they love North Korea and Kim Jong-un's sister, but then Trump will have a military parade, and you watch, they'll say Trump is like a North Korean dictator because he had a military parade just after they were praising the head of the agitation and propaganda department in North Korea. Don't forget about what's going on in Syria, folks. We've got news at Infowars.com. Russia, no agreement at UN on Syria, ceasefire. It's really sad what's happening and continuing happening in Syria and the Middle East with Israel and Iran, and it's really all out of control. So they want to distract you with some, fake liberals on CNN telling you to take their guns. That does it for the War Room this week. You stay classy, Info Warriors. Owen Schroyer here for Infowars.com. Myself and Roger Stone host The War Room weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. Central Time at Infowars.com/show, which is where you can find all of Infowars' live broadcast. You can have a direct link to all of our content at warroom.show, which links you directly to our YouTube channel, War Room. You can also find all of our videos, our polls, and our opinions at War Room Show on Twitter, and some of our favorite memes at War Room Memes. Our Facebook page is War Room Show, where we also share our live video content as well as archive video content. For those of you that like listening to podcasts, though, on iTunes, we are available Infowars War Room on the iTunes podcast platform. And if you like our live broadcast and want more of it, InfoWarsStore.com is how you support us.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
The scientists at Infowars Life have created a powerful formula for inflammatory support and joint support. Discover the power of ancient medicine with Bodies. Bodies contains one of the most potent forms of turmeric available. Turmeric has been used for thousands of years and is one of the most studied herbals today. It is well known in traditional medicine for its soothing properties. Our pure turmeric extract plus piperine from black pepper makes for optimal absorption to help boost and support your flexibility, mobility, joint function, immune system, and so much more. Regular turmeric root from the store only contains 1 to 5% of active ingredients, but our turmeric root extract contains over 95% of the active ingredients. Bodies combines turmeric with organic herbs such as spearmint, sage, lemon balm, and thyme to work synergistically for full body support. Try Bodies today at InfoWarsLife.com or call us at 1-888-253-3139.
Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue fluoride-free products. Infowars Life brings you a revolutionary toothpaste blend with iodine and nano silver designed to deliver a powerful clean. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil or try our bubblegum flavor. Pair this groundbreaking toothpaste with the Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and supercharge your oral health. Our amazing mouthwash features natural oils and ancient ingredients used since Aboriginal and biblical times. Instead of containing fluoride, our Super Blue line is loaded with the good halogen iodine and an array of other beneficial compounds that have been hand-selected for their oral health benefits. Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and toothpaste are the first and only to contain all of these natural ingredients: xylitol, nano silver, and iodine. Notice the difference with our Super Blue fluoride-free products. Refresh your breath and invigorate your oral health routine at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com.